So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's talk about the other ladies during the reunion, okay? Let's talk about the other ladies. So we covered Tamra and Shannon a lot. Let me see if there's anything else about Shannon I wanted to share. Okay, Shannon looks healthy and she looks happy. She looks calm and stable and very clear. The work is working. She looked a lot better on camera than her photo did. So I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for Shannon. I thought she looked really good. And I love that she's standing 10 toes down when it comes to Tamra. And she's like, well, in my therapy, I'm doing healthy boundaries, babe. I'm doing healthy boundaries. And it is what it is. Absolutely love that. Okay. Now let's move on to Emily. Because Emily is horrible and the absolute worst. And I'm going to call her a bulldog. Has nothing to do with her looks. It has everything to do with her energy and her disposition. I'm confused, Emily. Is Andy Cohen the host or are you the host? Why is Emily doing like research dissertations on everybody's business and everybody's life and this, that, and the third? And she gets away with it. How come nobody calls out Emily on all of her stuff? Why does she have files on everybody's business? Especially Jen's. Like, stay out of Jen's business. We came after Tamra for doing background checks. We came after Katie for checking into Heather's paparazzi photos. When are we going to check Emily for doing, research term papers on everybody's business and life? Emily, you need to get a life. You do. She's like, well, I have a question. I read this article. And then she talks like her opinion is the truth and the facts. It's all conjecture. You're an attorney, Emily, which is your entire personality, even though you don't practice it. Emily, you're not an attorney. You play one on TV. You stopped practicing law, but every other word out of your mouth is, I'm an attorney. But you don't actually practice it. So shut up. You're not a lawyer. You're not. Who are your clients? When was the last time you had a case? Do you have court right now? I'm confused. Shut up, Emily. It's bizarre to me. What is Emily's storyline other than being a bulldog, other than getting dirt on other people and writing these term papers on their entire life, other than being like me and reading reality blurb all day and then being like, I read this article about you. Like, Emily, get a life. What is Emily's storyline? All season, all she did was whine and cry and get into other people's business, and she had no storyline. First of all, I was obsessed when Jen, and I'll talk about Jen too, because like Emily and Jen are kind of intertwined because they were going at it at the reunion. I was obsessed when Jen was like, well, I read that your in-laws fund your life, and Emily finally shut her trap and piped down. Because this is the thing, Emily, how dare you? How dare you come after Jen and be like, I don't respect you because your daddy helps you out. And now your husband helped you out. And now you're relying on Ryan and blah, blah, blah. And like, I just want her to like work for something and to be independent and yeah. Emily, your whole life is subsidized, not even by your husband, but by his parents. And you have the audacity to talk about Jen, whose life is subsidized by her own father, her own husband, who she popped out 3 or 4 kids for, her man, Ryan. I'm sorry, but I would rather have my father, my husband, or my man subsidize my life rather than the parents of the whole man I'm married to subsidize my life. So shut up, Emily. You're researching everybody else's business. Why don't you get some business of your own? Is Shane, whatever the hell his name? I actually really like Shane. I like Shane more than like Emily. Is Shane practicing law? Is Bravo your only income check? And the rest comes from your in-laws? But you have the audacity to go after Jen because she is a woman who's being supported by the men in her life? Girl, bye. Like, shut up. Miss me with all of that. Like, miss me with all of it. It's not even your husband's money. It's his parents' money. And you have the audacity to be mad at Jen because her man is holding her and her children down. Say what you want about Ryan, and we'll talk about his legal issues, but he's holding her and her children down. And you are coming at her for that? What's the point? You do realize you're on a show called The Real Housewives. And with all of your education, Emily, as an attorney, do you know the definition of a housewife? The definition of an actual housewife is a woman who does not work and is financially supported by her husband or her man. That's the literal definition of a housewife. So to be honest with you, Jen is more of a housewife than you are, because the last time I heard, housewives are an in-laws housewife. Like, where's your money coming from? Get a job, Emily, since clearly you have the time to do your little research on everybody. I read this article, and this is what this is, and the way she talks. Okay, Emily, you're trash. And I mean trash with my whole entire chest. And I'm going to tell you why she's trash. When she brought up the fact about Katie and Katie's children, that was disgusting and such a low blow. How dare you get up there and talk to this woman about the custody of her children and whether or not she's unfit and why didn't you have kids? And in California, you're either unfit or you're this, or you just signed them away. Like, why is that? I don't understand it. Emily, just like Jen said, it's not for you to understand or to approve of. Who on this planet is looking for Emily for validation about a damn thing in their life? Not me. Not Jen, not Katie. And Emily was so trash for that, because let's segue to Katie. This is what I think happened to Katie. And this is just me reading between the lines. I think Katie's first husband was extremely abusive. My gut is saying physically. And I think she had to flee him because she said that she was with her 3 little kids. She was homeless. She had nowhere to go. She said she was living in some place and she wouldn't say the name. To me, that reads he was beating her ass, she fled with her kids, and she probably went to a shelter for battered women. And the reason why she probably had to give up her parental rights, because he was the one who probably had the money, he was the one who had the connections, and that happens way more than you want to admit. That it's the woman who is being abused. She flees for her own safety, but it's the man who has the money and the connections, who still has all the rights and alienates people. That is what, and you can see it in Katie's face. You can hear it in what she says. And shout out to Heather Dubrow, because Heather Dubrow, even though Heather and Katie were beefing the entire season about the dumb paparazzi photos, if you watch the I don't know if it's on the Bravo version, but it's on the Peacock version. Shout out to Heather Dubrow. She's a real one. I love Heather. I know Heather didn't have a great season. I was disappointed that she's up Tamra's butt. I understand that. But I like Heather. Shout out to her. She goes over to Katie. She says, I'm so sorry about your children. And she specifically said, I was not going to bring that up. That is a real one. Because it is so clear. So clear. Again, this is just my opinion. I think Katie was in a very abusive relationship. She fled that situation. And you might be like, well, why did the son stay with the dad if he's the dad? Come on. Anybody with common sense understands that a lot of times children will side with the abusive parent. Children will be alienated from the parent who's being abused, especially the youngest one may not understand everything. You know what's going on. I think Katie chose safety and survival. There is no part of me believes that Katie was abandoning her children by any way, shape or form. And for Emily, who threw a temper tantrum because Katie's daughter said that her boys were saying Heather was yelling at her. And by the way, I do think the boys heard Emily and Shane and probably Gina bad-mouthing Heather, because what they said is exactly what they say about Heather behind their back. I do think it was inappropriate for Katie's daughter to engage in that type of conversation with the boys and bring it to the show. However, that is leaps and bounds than what Emily did. Like, how dare you? Especially when Katie's youngest boy wasn't even on the show. He lives in Atlanta with his father. Like, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a thing for her to bring up. Like, how dare you bring that up? And she brought it up after the fact. Katie had already said she had 3 kids and was homeless and had nowhere to go. To me, that reads, I'm in an abusive relationship. I'm fleeing for my safety. Hello? Emily was trash for that. She's absolutely horrible. Going after Jen with the whole Ryan stuff. Get a life, Emily. And if you can't get a life, at least get a storyline. Nobody cares that you're working out. Nobody cares that Shane has a personal trainer. Nobody cares about the fact that you're crying because Heather said, bring some jeans to a fashion show. What? That's all you got this season, Emily? Who cares about that crap? Nobody. You're not the host of the show. Why did you come with prepared questions for everybody? Emily, go figure out, go do a case. That's right, you don't practice law anymore, so shut up. Emily's horrible to me. Absolutely horrible. Hypocrite. She needs to go. She needs to go. After she did that to Katie, that was disgusting. You could see Katie like breaking. And Heather goes over to her, go back and watch, and she says, I'm so sorry. I was not going to bring that up. That's a real one, where you understand that there's levels to this. Sure, you're at the reunion, you beefing with people, paparazzi photos, this, that, and the third. You're at Sutton's party. That's fine. That's fair game. But to bring up the fact that she had to give up the rights to her children because she was fleeing an abusive relationship? And Emily, you act like you're so smart. Why are you playing dumb? Like you don't understand what Katie was saying or what Katie has been through. I don't get it. Like in California, a mom give up the rights. You're unfit, or they just shut up, Emily. Worry about your own children who are out here spilling the tea about what you and Shane are talking about around the kitchen table. Worry about your own kids. You had a freaking meltdown about that. But you want to be on national television talking to this woman about that? I can't. Emily's trash for that. She is. And I say that with my whole chest. She's trash for that. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about Katie, then I'll get into Jen and we'll follow up and then we'll wrap it up with Gina. Okay. Oh, Heather too. Okay, so Katie. I talked about how I think that basically what she was saying was she was running away from an abusive ex. Now, the thing about Katie is this. I like Katie, but she did herself a huge disservice by not understanding that Gina was talking crap about Heather privately. That was kitchen table talk. And Katie brought kitchen table talk to the show, and Gina didn't want that smoke from Heather. That's what I think happened. I think Gina, I think Emily, I think Tamra, I think they all talk crap about Heather behind her back. I don't think any of them actually like her because they're all jealous of her. They want her life. They want the money. They want the prestige. They want the $55 million houses. They want it all. They're jealous as hell. None of them actually like Heather. Not because there's anything wrong with Heather, but because they're jealous of her. That's why Heather needs to find a different caliber of friends, to be perfectly honest with you. I would actually love Shannon and Heather. I think that them together would be amazing. That's a duo I think would be really fun. Anyway, I think that Katie thought she had an ally in Gina. And when she brought it to the show, she quickly realized Gina is not your friend. You are just a person Gina used to badmouth Heather. Because Gina's not going to burn that bridge with Heather. She's not. She wants the real estate connects. She doesn't want the smoke. And that's where Katie messed up. She should have just given up and was like, oh, this is wrong. But she dug her heels in about the paparazzi stuff, which I agree with Heather. Why do you care? Like, you just need to let it go. So that whole situation was bizarre and she should have let it go. Now, with all of her conflicting stories, I think that I don't think Katie is necessarily a liar. I just think that when it comes to Emily and like Gina going after her, like your stories don't make sense and all this stuff. To me, Gina and Emily have always done this, and I don't like them for that. Very similar to how Heather, Gay, and Whitney are on Salt Lake City, where they think that their own theory is truth, and then they repeat it as if it's the truth. And when you say what the truth is, they call you a liar because your truth is not what they think in their heads. And I think that is the disconnect with what's going on with Katie. Now, the whole situation about Katie and some guy was driving and he was swearing at her and filming her, and then the guy had to go to jail and all this stuff. I don't really care. To me, that sounded more like I think that story is somewhere in the middle. I don't think Katie drove to this man's house because if she drove to his house, I'm pretty sure she was the one who would have been arrested, not him. Like, why would the cops come to his house when a stranger followed him to his house? So that part didn't make any sense. Do I think she was texting and this guy probably got pissed off and was like yelling at her and taping her? Yeah, I think that part is true. But I don't think that she followed him to his house and the cops came to his house and then arrested him because a stranger followed him home. That makes no sense. If they are out on a public street and the cops come and she's like, this guy is yelling at me, I have 3 little kids, and the guy is upset and he's popping off and he's not cooperating with the police, and then the police take him in, that makes way more sense. Why would the police tase him at his own house when she followed him there? That doesn't make any sense. I think that she probably was texting. He probably did get triggered and something popped off, but I don't think she followed this man to his house when she had 3 kids in the back. She probably mouthed off to him, mind your business. And he probably was like, well, you need to be more safe and I'm going to videotape you. And then it escalated from there. The police came. She's a woman with kids. He's a man mouthing off. And it probably went down like that. But then Emily, with her big bulldog crap, being like, oh, some guy went to prison. I'm sorry, but nobody takes you to prison for a traffic violation for 2 people beefing outside. You go to jail. So Emily, maybe this is why you don't practice law, because half of the time you don't know what you're talking about. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Emily, pipe down and shut up. Prison? Prison? Shut up, Emily. You're insane. Katie, to me, she can be a one-hit wonder. If she comes back, maybe a friend of capacity to Jen, and then maybe she can redeem herself. But I don't need Katie back full time. I don't. That's just how I feel. Let me know what you guys think about that. Jen, okay. My theory on Jen is this. I'm not saying this is an unpopular opinion, but I think that this is a perspective to think about when it comes to Jen. What's that song where it's like, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save. I can't sing. That is what I think about Jen. I don't think Jen is stupid or naive. I think Jen knows exactly who Ryan is. I think she knows exactly I'll just say alleged, because people like to sue people around here. I think she knows exactly his involvement in the alleged fraud. I don't think she cares. That's why she was crying and said, I effed it all up. And then she tried to backtrack it at the reunion when Andy was like, well, what did you mean when you said I effed it all up? And she was like, oh, well, like they're only using Ryan's name because of the show and blah, 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 blah. What she really meant, and this is my opinion, was I effed it all up. Yes, because she's on the show and she brought attention to what they were doing. But I don't think that she realized that the FBI was probably already onto them before she even got on the show, because they investigate people for a long time. So in her mind, she probably thinks, well, they probably could have kept the scheme and the scam and the fraud going, and they could have still had this life and everything could have still been going if she wasn't on the show. I think she thinks that the show brought light to the scheme and the scam. Whereas I think the feds were already on to the scheme and the scam. You know what I mean? Also, if Ryan had immunity and she knew he had immunity, then why was she so distraught and crying and so upset? And Ryan went his way, she went her way, and they were all crying when this article came out. If she was like, oh, but we already knew the article was coming out and he already had immunity and he didn't do anything, then why were you guys upset and crying and you're crying to everybody? If you already knew this stuff, if he already had immunity, if everything was cool, he didn't do anything, then why that reaction? I'm only crying, I'm only upset, I'm only thinking I ruined everything if there is the threat that Ryan's going to jail, that everything is crumbling down, that he is guilty, that something's going to happen. If the entire fraud situation was only Matt, his, in his own words, his money laundering friend, his money laundering partner, if it was only Matt and Ryan had no knowledge, no, participation, then why was Jen acting like their entire world was destroyed and over? Doesn't make any sense. You're only acting like that if you're guilty, if you're worried that something's going to happen to you. You're not acting like that if nothing's wrong and everything's cool. Sure, you could be sad that Matt might be getting in trouble, but your whole world isn't crumbling down because Ryan's friend Matt is in trouble. Your whole world is falling down if Ryan is in trouble, and maybe you're in trouble too because you're dipping it and doing it with him. And that brings me to what I'm saying about Jen. I don't think Jen cares. I don't think she is this, and I like Jen, and I love the fact that she's speaking up against Tamra. But I don't think that she needs to be saved. I think she's a willing participant in the BS. Now, I'm not saying that she is participating in the actual fraud or in the actual scheme. I'm not saying that. But do I think she's complicit? Where she's just sort of like, hey, let's go to Vegas, buy me this stuff, let's do whatever. Let's go here. Let's hang out. I don't care where the money is coming from. I don't care if you're doing something shady. Don't tell me the details because I don't care. Yeah. I don't think Jen might be naive, but she's not dumb. She's not stupid. I think she knows exactly who Ryan is, and she doesn't care. That's why she said I messed everything up. Because she knew the deal. Every Clyde has a Bonnie. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Jen is some naive little deer in the headlights, oh, what? I don't know. Sure, I think that's a bit of a facade. It's a bit of a cover. At the end of the day, I think she knows exactly who Ryan is, and she's okay with that. I don't think she cares about the fraud. I don't think she cares about the money laundering. I don't think she cares about any of that. As long as Ryan isn't going to jail and the money keeps coming in, I don't think she cares. And that's a bigger conversation. I'll just say very quickly because it's a much deeper conversation, more around misogyny in our society. And what I mean by that is there's this default thinking that women are stupid, that women are victims, women are naive, we don't have a clue, we don't have our own agency, we don't have, strategy or schemes and scams or bad sides or evil. There's this sort of like, I don't even know what to call it, but there's this sort of stereotype that women are just like, oh my God, what do you mean Ryan's a bad guy? No, he's not. But you know what I mean? Whereas, why is no one telling the truth? Jen doesn't give an F that he is a fraud. She doesn't care. Very similar to Erica Girardi. Erica Jane Girardi. Do I think she knew what he was doing? 100%. Do I think she gave a damn? Not 1 ounce. Not 1 ounce. Kyle Richards. You think Kyle doesn't know that Mauricio's firm, the agency, has about 10 different lawsuits going against them for fraud any given Sunday? Every time you look around, that company is being sued for fraud. They're being sued right now for, I think, $3.5 million for fraudulent PP loans. You think Kyle cares that Mauricio is being sued every single day? Or does she know what's up? And as long as the checks roll in, she don't care. There is that weird thing where women are either docile weaklings and oh my God, like, no. Us women, we are smart. We are strategic. We have our own moral compass. You know what I mean? And it's like, I personally don't think Jen cares. I don't think she cares. That's why she was crying and saying, I ruined everything. So you knew that there was something to be ruined. And she's not stupid. Well, what do you guys mean, immunity? To have immunity means that you did something wrong, and that's an up to, like, immunity in of itself means protection from, right? Like our immune system protects us from disease. So when you have immunity, it's protecting you from the ill that you did. Immunity, our body protects us from disease/illness. Immunity in law protects you from the ill, the illegal, the wrongness that you did. You have protection from being prosecuted for what you did wrong. So the only reason why they would give him immunity is because he did something wrong. He's just giving them more bait to catch the bigger fish. Doesn't mean, when you have immunity, doesn't mean you're innocent. In fact, it means the opposite. It means, yeah, we could persecute you, but we're going to give you immunity. We're going to protect you from what you did in order to give us more bait to get the bigger fish, who's Matt. Jen can act dumb all day long, but the chick is not stupid. She knows who he is and she doesn't care. And we have to start giving women more credit. Now, do I agree with her? No. Me personally, I'm not dating a man who's involved in fraud, alleged schemes, immunity plans, money. No, not today, Satan. No, thank you, sir. Okay? No, thank you. But I think we have to start giving women more credit, that we are smart, that we do know what people are doing, and that even though you may not agree with our choice, it is still our choice to make. And that sometimes we act against our own self-interest by dating a man who's involved in alleged fraud. But that's kind of where I stand with Jen. I think she's a willing participant. And I talked about how I love that she stuck it to Emily. It was like, well, I read that your in-laws fund your life. And Emily shut all the way up. All the way up. Emily needs to get a life. Okay. Now let's talk about, we talked about Gina. Only a couple of things about Gina. Number one, I don't think Gina likes Heather. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it again. I think she's jealous of her. And she'll never be able to be a real friend to her because she resents her for everything that she has. I don't think she likes Travis. I think she's sticking with Travis because it's convenient, because they're in business with all of the real estate stuff. I think that's why she's still with him, for the business aspect of it. I think once she figures out a way to separate the real estate business, because did you notice when she did the sold thing, it said Travis' names first and then underneath her name. So they're doing like the real estate business together. I think that once she figures out how to separate their businesses, she's going to like officially leave him. She already moved out or kicked him out, whatever the case may be. They're living in separate homes. Just pull the plug, girl. But I think the real estate business is keeping them together. Now, this is where I think Gina is dead wrong. Dead wrong. And I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about it. When Gina talks about Travis's ex, it's very disturbing for a number of reasons. Number one, this woman is the mother of the children that you claim to be a second mother to, that you are raising your children with, that are the children of the man you claim is the love of your life, right? don't you think that there are repercussions for calling this woman crazy and psycho and horrible and all these things? Like, you made this woman an entire storyline for you on the show when, number one, I don't even know this woman's name. I don't see her on the blogs. She's not on the podcast. She's not on the blogs. She's not doing press releases. She's not doing red carpets. It would be one thing if she was like an Alexis Bellino or a John Jansen or somebody like that, who was out here doing the absolute most, trying to be in the public eye, publicly bad mouthing you. I think the only thing we know about the ex is whatever happened in court documents that got leaked, but I don't think it was the ex who actually leaked them. She's not, I don't even know her name, don't know what she looks like, right? So why are you out here maligning this woman when she's not even on the show to defend herself? And she's also the mother of the kids that you're a second mother to and raising your kids with Travis. That's not cool. Oh, that's right. You're bad mouthing her because there's all the stuff out there in the legal documents where she's claiming that there's violence in your household. Allegedly, you pushed Travis down the stairs. This is my opinion, but I think Gina did, because Gina has been way too calm. Anytime that subject has come up, she's been way too calm, whereas she's really much trying to control the narrative, not get it out there, not get out of pocket. I think if it was a lie, she would be more enraged, but she's been way too calm about the whole thing. I think her bad mouthing Travis's ex is a bit of damage control around that. But Gina, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I'm going to be mad at anybody. Excuse me, I need a call. Sorry. Gina, you can't have it both ways, okay? You can't say, I'm going to be mad and pissed at anybody who brings it to the show, which ultimately, of course, it was Tamra who brought it to the show. Who else would do that but Tamra? But you actually can't be mad at them for bringing it to the show if you are going to try to do damage control without actually talking about what you're doing damage control about. All you've been doing all season long is calling this woman crazy, calling her psycho. She's creating so many problems, money problems for Travis. She's out here blah, 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 blah. We don't know this woman's name. I don't even know what she looks like, because this woman's out here minding her business. And you're on an international platform calling her crazy and psycho and then going home to her kids. And that's a problem. That's a problem. And why is nobody calling Gina out on this? So you want to talk about this woman like she's a dog, but then you don't want anybody to bring up the fact that the reason why you're so mad at her is because in court documents, allegedly she's saying, or whoever is saying in her camp, about unhealthy habits going on in your household, but they're not allowed to bring that up. You can't have it both ways, Gina. You either need to come to the show and say, hey, this is what happened, this is what was said, and I'm going to clear it up, or keep that woman's name out your mouth. She's not on the show. She's not doing any interviews. And you are around this woman's children, and you don't think that children are going to pick up on the fact that you constantly call their mother crazy and psycho? And I don't care how cool stepmom you are, Gina, a mother is a mother. And they are going to feel that. But nobody calls Gina out on that. And I think she's going to play victim. Like, I'm just so scared. Like, girl, you need to stop. That's kind of where I land on Gina. This could be Gina's last season for me. I've said it since she got on the show. I don't think it's I mean, to me, Gina and Emily, they could have been gone. I don't know why they came in the first place, to be honest with you. They could have been gone. All right, let's talk about Heather. As you guys know, I love Heather. I do. I'm disappointed in her this season because she's aligned herself with Tamra. But I think Heather's going through it. I don't think she's happy. I think she's kind of, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but she seems a bit depressed to me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not speaking on I don't mean to speak on anybody's mental health or anything like that. I'm just saying that she's giving signs of someone who isn't happy. Her energy is very low. She doesn't seem, I don't know, she doesn't seem really present in her body. I think she's going through it. I think she's kind of looking at her life and it's like, this is not what I signed up for. And people may think on the surface, oh, she has these houses and this money and her married to a plastic surgeon. She's on a reality show. I don't think any of that is how Heather envisioned her life. I think she thought that she was going to come to LA, make it big as like an actress, be on like a sitcom or like a TV show or like a movie, something like that. And I think that I don't know. I just think she saw her life going differently, and so one person's blessing is somebody else's burden. So just because she has like the money and this and that doesn't mean that she's fulfilled or happy. I don't think she's happy. I think the Terry cheating rumors really got to her. I think the fact that she has 4 children and 3 of them are LGBTQIA, I think she loves them and accepts them, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I do think that when you realize that like your life and your children's life doesn't look the way you envisioned it, that's a mourning process. Again, I think she 100,000% loves and supports her children, of course, but still that has to take a toll on just how you envision things and how you saw things going. Doesn't mean anything's wrong, doesn't mean anything's bigoted, doesn't mean there's any judgment around it. It just means you have to get adjusted to your new normal and what you think your life would look like. I think that's a huge thing for anybody, I don't think her and Terry are as happy as she claims they are. I think she has a lot of regret around the way they've managed their marriage, to be honest with you, like how she gave up her dreams of acting to support him, being a plastic surgeon, this, that, and the third. I don't think she saw herself being on a reality show, hanging out with Gina and Emily all day. I think she saw herself as like a Jennifer Aniston or Julia Roberts or Courtney Cox or somebody like that, or like a Jenny McCarthy, people who she kind of came up with. I think she saw herself more having like that type of life. Maybe married to like George Clooney instead of, Terry Dubrow. And nothing wrong with Terry, but I just think that Heather saw it differently for her life. And I think she's really sad and kind of going through it. And that's and I want Heather to be happy. I want her to find her happiness. I want her to do like Shannon and look at Tamra and be like, I do not want to be your friend. Because Tamra is not your friend, Heather. Get it together. We saw the whole thing when it came to like Shannon, when Shannon came to her with like the bloody photo and everything. And Heather was like, oh my God, Shannon. And then she flipped on her with the whole Jeff Lewis thing. This is the thing. If Tamra came to you, Heather, and said, oh, I already saw that photo, or if prior to seeing the photo, Tamra told you she saw the photo, the person you go to talk to about it is Shannon, not the other girls. That is the issue Shannon had. You didn't come to Shannon and be like, oh, I heard you on Jeff Lewis, what's up? Or, oh, Tamra told me that you already told her this. You guys had basically ran Shannon out of her own, when they were in London, of her own birthday trip. And then you guys were wasted and you were bad-mouthing her, talking about everything. And then Gina went back and told Shannon what Heather was saying about the bloody picture and how she felt used and all that stuff. That is where your misstep was, Heather. Number one, you let Tamra get in your ear because it's clear as day you're just regurgitating what Tamra told you. Oh, you were using me. Oh, the bloody photo. Oh, the Jeff Lewis thing. Like, that was 1,000% Tamra, and you're just regurgitating what she fed you. What you should have did was, if you had a question about it, go to the source. Go to Shannon and say, hey, this is what Tamra said, or this is what you said on Jeff Lewis. Let's talk about it. You don't talk crap about her behind her back and then feel some type of way when she confronts you about it. I will give Heather credit that she did apologize and she did take ownership. She said, I know what I did was wrong and I apologize for it. Let's start over, building that trust. That's how you actually apologize. Because I don't think Heather is a narcissist at all. At all. I think Heather, she might be very type A, but she's not a narc by any means. She doesn't display narcissistic tendencies. Because narcissism isn't like, oh my God, I'm amazing, I'm so great. That's not narcissism. That's like the cool narcissism. That's not the real one. Heather is not narcissistic at all. She's very empathetic. She's actually very warm, even though she appears to be cold. She's not. She's actually very loving, very warm, knows how to apologize, knows how to take accountability, all of that stuff. I think she sometimes gets a bad rap with the whole fancy pants and the money and the champers and all that. I think people judge her a lot, but I actually think Heather is really sweet and has a really big heart and is very, very warm. I think she's going through it right now. I think being friends with Tamra makes Heather lesser. I really wish she would cut ties with her. Get together with Shannon. Heather, that's my biggest note for you. Get together with Shannon and also get some friends that are on your level that will bring out your light rather than trying to dim your light because of their own darkness. You know what I mean? That's what I would say about that. Now, I think that's everyone, right, guys? I do. I think we got everybody. So we'll see next week with part 2. My hope, I don't have any predictions for part 2, but my hope is that Shannon stays 10 toes down on Tamra's neck and does not relent, do not give in. I hope that they give Emily a muzzle and they shut her up. She is a bulldog. She's a stay out of people's business. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens. So as always, let me know what you guys think. Feel free to drop it down in the chat box below. Are you watching? Whose side are you on? What do you think is going on with all the ladies? And what are your predictions for part 2 of The Real Housewives of OC? So with that, I will drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. No pressure if you don't. And I'll take some of your candy cane questions and comments in the meantime. All right, you guys.